in the first place, he specifically mentioned that God had placed a limiter on all living things to pretty much cap the potential that an individual has. Now, him using the word God here is pretty interesting because, you know, initially we kind of thought that it was like a overall God, you know, like now knowing that there is a character in the One Punch Man universe that is literally just named God, we can kind of connect the dots here and assume that maybe One and Murata meant to imply that this was, you know, the God that we learn is going to be like the next big bad of the story. So assuming that God had actually, you know, created the limiter and placed it on all living things, then obviously someone that was able to remove this limiter would catch his eye because, you know, we don't know a whole lot about the limiter quite yet, but there is a possibility that those who have limiters on them can be more easily controlled or reached out to by God. This could be another way for God to kind of dig his roots on the earth aside from having his God cube scattered across the planet and reaching out to humans once, you know, the dimensional barrier holding them captive starts to loosen up a bit. Again, there isn't a whole lot of information known about the limiter just yet, but it could have something to do with being able to turn humans into monsters, aside from being another way for God to reach individuals. But you kind of get the idea that the limiter might be really important for God in his quest to possibly taking over the earth or whatever his grand plan is at the end. And seeing as how Saitama is the only person that has no limiter placed on him, he might raise a very serious threat because he is the only individual that is outside the potential control of God. And I also think it's